All right, cool. Okay, good deal. All right, so throughout the year, a lot of things you guys might remember. One thing you guys might remember is one of the things that I've tried to like really put a lot of emphasis on and that I've spoken a lot about is responsibility and cause and effect, making sure that we are cause and taking responsibility. So you guys probably remember me talking a lot about that, spending a lot of time talking about responsibility. I spent a lot of time with Courtney talking about responsibility. And so this part is going to go to the next level, and we're going to put it into practice a little bit as far as taking responsibility not only for you and where you're at or your particular position, but taking responsibility for the entire group and taking responsibility. And what I mean is this group, taking responsibility for this group and taking responsibility for our office. Okay, so that's what we're going to be, that's how we're going into the next step. And so the way that we're going to do that is, this topic is what we call be, do, have. Has anybody ever heard me talk about that before? Be, do, have. You might have heard of that before. So be, do, have. I'm going to get a little bit into that, because into what I'm talking about when I say be, do, have. But just to give you a little bit of an understanding, be, do, have is basically a framework that you live by. Okay, a framework by the way that we do things. And be, do, have. You'll see what I'm talking about a little bit, because I'll give you some examples specifically of what I'm talking about. But in general, we as just a society, really just as like humanity, do that differently. We don't live by be, do, have. We live the framework a totally different way, right? And you'll see what I mean. I know that doesn't make sense just yet, but I'm going to get into that a little bit about what I'm talking about. But be, do, have has to do with, like I said, how we view things, how our framework of life works, okay? And what I'm talking about specifically is like how we set goals, how we make intentions in our life, how we do things. And have you ever noticed, because we're coming up on New Year's resolution. Has anybody ever made a New Year's resolution? Yeah? Yes. I think most people probably have. I have. Has anybody ever made a New Year's resolution that didn't work? That made it like a week? That didn't make it very long, or made it a month, whatever. We all have made those. The question would be then, why do those not make it? Why does that not last? And it's this principle or this framework of be, do, have. Have you ever noticed how you have some people who are just really, you look at them and you're just like, you admire what they've done. How did they do that? It's the same framework of be, do, have. I'll give you an example, and I'm just going to use people that we know in our group, okay? How about Haley from Vibe Pulaski, okay? Haley, if you are on Facebook, if you're anything like that, you should be pretty impressed with the dedication that she has to her health, to her fitness, to all that stuff. She's gone on now to win like professional awards and things like that, as far as like bodybuilding and things like that, okay? So whether or not that's your thing is not the point. You can look at that and say, wow, that's pretty impressive, right? You're getting up at crazy amounts of times in the morning. You're also being a mother. You have 2 children. You're doing all these things, and you're going and working a full-time job. No matter how you frame it, it's pretty impressive. So then you think, how does she do that? If you follow, I'm really close friends with Dr. Norden. Dr. Norden is the dentist in Huntsville. So Dr. Norden in 2024 went through some life crisis, okay? In the fall of 2024, he made a massive life change, a massive life shift. And if you saw him at the Christmas party, you may not have even recognized him, because he has like bulked up, trimmed down, become super athletic, super fit, looks really good. totally changed his entire life. How did he do that? Like, how is he doing that? Why can't I do it? Those are things that I'm looking at and thinking, what in the world's going on here? I can't even make it through a month of my New Year's resolution. And I got New Year's resolutions coming up this year. I'll tell you, as far as from my perspective, with my New Year's resolutions, all my New Year's resolutions from last January, I've almost completed all of them so far, right? And I have tracked them each month. I keep a statistic on them, and I've almost got them all completed with the exception of one or two, okay? So how do we do those things, right? How do we get those complete? Because I'll tell you, this is the first year, I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, this is the first year I've ever gotten that done. All right, I'm 43 years old, so the first year in 43 years I've ever gotten that almost completed. The year before I got one of them completed, okay, one of them. So how does that happen? It's this framework of be, do, have. And it also explains how we don't get those things done. Because we flip these framework around. Instead of be, do, have, the framework becomes have, do, be, right? Have, do, be. So what do I mean by that? It's common for us to look and say, okay, what do I want to have? So we're setting our New Year's resolution. I want to have, if I could just have more time, then I could do things with my kids more, and I could be a better parent, right? Yeah, if I could just have more, then I could do more, I could be a better parent. Or what if I could just have a little bit more money, right? Then I could do some more things with my spouse. Maybe we could take a trip or we could do something like that. Then I could be a better spouse, right? Or if I could just have a little bit cleaner house, a little less messy, then I would be a little bit more organized, and then I could accomplish more things, right? So those are all like normal processes we're thinking. And I've done the same thing, and that's the have. We're like the have, the do, the be. I could just have this, I could do that, I could be that, right? We rarely ever accomplish those things because that is not the framework that you set things up to make an impact or to be able to accomplish those things, right? It has to be flipped. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But before I do that, before I show you what I'm talking about with that, with some examples, first I want to define. You guys know how big I am into defining things. I'm so proud of my 6-year-old, Ava, because she's really learned this whole idea about having a misunderstood word, having misunderstandings. And every single day, almost every single conversation we ask, will use a word that she doesn't understand. Circumference, something like that. And she'll stop us in the conversation and say, what does that word mean? And I'll praise her for that, because if she doesn't, she will continue on in that conversation, acting like she's there, and she'll zone out, and then later on you'll be like, did you hear any of the word I said? And the kid looks at you like, no, what? You know, it's because you used a word before that they didn't understand what you were in, so they blocked out the rest of the whole conversation. They shut you off. We do that when we're reading. Okay, I'm getting off topic. But I'm very, very proud of her for her really stopping me and getting that whole concept, because I think it's gigantic. It's huge in our learning and our ability, is not understanding words, right? You think of some of the most difficult subjects you took in college or in school, like chemistry. Okay, define chemistry. Can you define the word chemistry? Then start going in and start looking at where did you fall apart in all that? What words did you not understand? Did you understand covalent bond? Did you understand what those words mean? And you're like, oh God, maybe I didn't. And I just kept going on, and subject never understood what it was. And by the way, you were lost way, way back at the beginning. Okay, so my point is I want to define this be, do, have, so we don't have any misunderstandings on that. Okay, so we're all very, very clear on what that means. All right, so let's start at the back. Let's start at have, at havingness. Does anybody, y'all just define the word havingness? Everybody give me a definition for havingness. havingness. What does it mean? If I say havingness, you can cheat a little bit. What does that mean? To have. Yeah. Havingness means to have. That actually is right. It's to have. So let's think about that a little bit more. What does that mean? If you're thinking about I have, to have.
Having a goal, having a good mindset.
Yeah, so you're having a mindset, a goal, something like that. Good. I'm gonna bail y'all out because so you can see where I'm going with this, and then you guys can help me on the other one. So can you adjust that for me? Because I'm gonna have to sit down.
You can see.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so have. Let's see. Havingness isn't about what you have. It's about how much you allow yourself to have. So y'all listen. It's not about how much you have. It's how much you allow yourself to have without feeling overwhelmed, underserving, uncomfortable, or sabotaging it. Okay? This is a very big subject, and I think maybe sometime this year I'll go into just all completely in havingness, because I think it's really important for your personal lives, is how much we believe that we're worthy to have something, right? How much you think you can have something. And it's a really, very deep topic, but unless you have havingness, you will never have. If you don't think you're deserving of that GMC Yukon Denali, whatever, put in whatever you like in there, you will never have. If you don't think you can have it, you will never have it, right? If you don't ever think that you can have that house that you want, you will never have it. If you don't ever think that you can have that loving spouse or that great family, you will never have it, okay? Havingness is the ability to have, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, as far as dental, that could be our ability to have new patients, our ability to have a really smooth schedule, our ability to have a high-functioning team. Do you believe we have that ability to have that? That's your havingness, okay? All right, now, next one, do. What is doingness? What does that mean? Doingness.
The actions you're taking to have, is that?
That is correct. In a nutshell, though, it is like you're doing, right? But 100%. Let's see, you said your actions. That's almost dead on what I have here. Doingness is the actions, behaviors, habits, and motions you carry out in order to accomplish something. Okay? It's the doing part of life. Right? It's the operations. It's us carrying things out, right? It's the mowing the lawn to have a nice lawn, right? It's the getting the tires rotated to have a nice car, right? It's the doing part of life. In a clinical example, it would be the putting together a good schedule. It would be following our SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures, right? It would be doing the crown. It would be communicating with the patient, communicating with your team, wearing your radio that I need to do. So, but it is the actual doing part. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I have a little quote down here, doing this is the daily execution, the actions that move the practice forward, okay? So, lastly, what is the be? Beingness. What is beingness? Chirp, tell me. Candy, what is beingness?
Oh, the results.
Okay. No, it is the result. It actually is the result.
What did you say? The result.
It is the result, but that is not the definition. That it is the result of all of this. Yeah, I know what you did. Okay, so what is it? What is to be? What is the beingness?
choosing to be it.
You know what you need to do,
Yeah.
to have, to get what you wanna have.
Okay, yeah. So when you have to get Avit to school in the morning,
Oh, God.
and you're doing the things that you got to do, getting up, fixing her hair, getting her teeth brushed, getting her in the car, you're doing all that. What are you being? A mother, a good parent, right? Yes. So the beingness is is the identity, right? It's the identity. It's who you are, right? I have down here, it is who you are, who you choose to be before you act. It is your identity, mindset, attitude, the role you occupy in your own life or in your organization. So it's the role that you play. So do we have just one beingness? No, we do not. We have many beingnesses, which could be mother, could be spouse, could be friend, whatever. Could be new patient coordinator, hygienist, could be Christian, whatever it is. You have a beingness, right, which is the result of all of those things, the things that we talked about before that, which is what Candy was saying. So she's actually right, even though she was cheating. So Candy's beingness is cheater. Just kidding. You're right. I did that just because I knew you wouldn't want me to. Okay. So for the dental team, what do we have? We have the things I already said: hygienist, office manager, dentist. But then there's other things too, right? Your beingness can be, you can be a leader, right? You can be proactive. You can be a good communicator. So there's a whole bunch of beingnesses, right? So as Candy said, this last question does say, doing and having both flow out of who you choose to be. Every result in this practice is a reflection of your collective beingness. Yeah. So whatever our beingness is, that's the results we're going to get. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's look at some examples here. I just put a few down. I think you can think of them. I'm going to go back to the one where I was talking about Dr. Norton and Haley. We'll talk about personal fitness. So you want to be a disciplined, consistent athlete, right? If you be that, you're going to work out 3 times daily or however many times. You're going to meal prep. You're going to take care of your body. And then you're going to have lower body fat and more energy. Does that make sense? So let's say example 2, we're looking for a smooth clinical day. So what we want to have, that's the last one, what we want to have is a day that flows effortlessly. What we have to do that is have pre-op huddles, communicate, follow our SOPs, all that kind of stuff, right? So who do we have to be to do that? Right? Our beingness is a coordinated, prepared team. So the beingness is what really changes from how the typical things that the way our framework that we have done that is we put the beingness at the very end when the beingness has to be number 1. If, I'll give you an example. For one of my New Year's resolutions is the year before 2024, I wanted to read through the Bible completely, okay? I accomplished that. In 2025, I said, okay, I want to read through at least 6. I wanted to read through at least 6 books on the Bible, okay? I've already completed that. So for me to have that, what do I have to do? But most importantly, what do I have to be, right? I have to be a reader. I have to be somebody who reads. I have to do that at nighttime. I have to set time to do that because I can say, I want to have that, but if I'm not that type of person, I'm never going to have that, right? So I had to be someone who had books. I have to be somebody who sets times aside to read a particular time, which I do it at nighttime in bed usually. Or and all these things that go along with that, of things the person that you have to be. I have to be a person who craves and seeks knowledge, right? And to learn. So we have to be that person. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, good. We're right where I want to be. So, let me see if I want to. Yeah, okay. So what I want to do is I want to put this stuff together with the exercise that we're going to do. I've never done this, okay? I've never done it this way, I guess I should say. Every year, one thing you guys should know is the way that I've structured things, the way I've done things for a while now, is we do quarterly meetings. Not only do we do quarterly meetings, but then we do, at the end of the year, we do an end of the year meeting, which is our planning meeting for the next year, right? Which is where we set our goals. We look at the year at the previous year and get everything set up to what we want to accomplish the next year, right? This year, I've always done that as an executive team. We've always done that in December. This year, we're going to do that together, okay? So this year, we're going to do that as a team here now together, the Be Do Have, okay? So before we do that, I want us to review a bit of what we did in 2025. So I want you guys to know where we are currently, what we accomplished this year and where we are currently, so that we can project and decide what we're going to have for next year. Because once we know what we're going to have, then we can decide, okay, if we're going to have that, what do we need to do to have that? Okay. Then the most important, who do we need to be, each and every one of us, in order to accomplish that? Does that make sense? What I'm hoping is also doing this will help you as you get to the end of this year. Maybe you just said, okay, I'm going to do my own stuff. I want to do my own New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. This exercise will also help you as you do that so that you can accomplish who you want to be outside of here, right? Let's see, 2025, Courtney got this together for me. Okay, so by the way, this was our best year ever, biggest year ever. Good job, everybody. Celebrate. Everybody's thinking, I can feel that. Because I will say that we also accomplished that with fewer dentists. Okay, not a knock on Dr. Santa, but she wasn't seeing very many patients. You guys remember, she couldn't see hardly any insurances. It was very difficult. That's why it just didn't work out. But we were essentially on basically 2 dentists. We have an awesome dentist starting the year here. Dr. Ingalls is going to be with us. So there's no reason next year can't be even better. But our production average, actually, let's look at our totals. So for the year, we produced $4,650,000. $4.6 million. Guys, I hope you know, if you haven't worked in other offices, you don't fully get that. That is insane in a dental office, okay? That is more than a lot of offices do in 3 years, okay? 3 to 4 years even. So the last few offices that I've bought haven't done that combined in 1 year, okay? So my point is you guys accomplished something really great. Remember this production number is just, all this is a measurement of the amount of people that you helped, the amount of dentistry that you did. Okay, that's what that measurement is. We don't have another way to measure that. So it's a measurement of, okay, this is how many people we helped. If you were not good at your job, we couldn't get anywhere near that. We couldn't even sniff that. Because patients will not come back. They will not allow you to do that. If they do not trust you, they're not allowing you to do that. Okay? Our collections, $4,617,000. Now these are rounded obviously, but so consider that. I'll tell you, in the 18 years that I've been working, that is 99.3% collections. That is absurd. That is absolutely fantastic. I mean, that number is insane. So you guys have to absolutely be congratulated for that, because that is incredible. If you cannot, what I've learned through my years, because I used to think a long time ago, letting patients pay me later, all these things was helping things, and it actually does not. What it does is it creates situations where patients don't want to come back because they owe you money, and they don't want to come back and see you. They don't want to look at you at Walmart, things like that. They're turning their heads away. So when I see this number, it makes me feel good, because I know patients aren't coming in here owing money. And when they come in here owing money, I may not even know it, but they have a little baggage on them, right? It's kind of like when you lend money to a family member. And you may not be thinking about that, but they come in Thanksgiving and they feel weird because they owe you money. They may not even show up for Thanksgiving because they owe you money. It's the same thing. So 99.3, insane. New patients, 840 new patients for the year. 840 new patients. That is awesome. So let's look at our averages just to put that in perspective. Production, we averaged 364,000. Let's just round that up to 365,000 because it's almost that. And then collections, we averaged 363,000 per month. And our new patient average was 70. Okay, so that's 2025. So again, you guys pat yourself on the back. Congratulations, that's pretty cool. Really proud of that accomplishment, okay? So let's look at what are we going to do next year, okay? So when we start setting up this framework of be, do, have, okay, and this is how I want you to do it too when you start thinking, is you're going to start in reverse, okay? We're going to start in reverse. So to start in reverse, that means you're going to start with the have. Now, this is just in the planning. That you might be thinking, oh, wait a minute, at the beginning you said we don't do it that way. You're correct. We don't live it that way. We don't live the framework that way, but when we are planning, we plan the framework that way, okay? So we're going to start with the have. What do we want to have?
One beauty and truly and dollars.
Yeah. Austin Powers. That was, if you're not on the camera, that was, yeah, gold. Was that gold? Yeah. No, it wasn't gold. Remember, it was, what's it? It was fashion, yeah. The one million. All right. So we're going to start with the have. Then we've got to figure out what we got to do to accomplish that. And then the most important, who do we have to be? Okay? So, actually, I did have one note here. I want to look at one other thing before we do that real quickly. As a team, I want to look a little bit more into last year because I had a couple things that I think is really important to keep a note of is, okay, let's look at these four things. And this is for you to answer, you guys answer. What major wins did we have for 2025? What was a major win? I can see her quiet for a moment.
Having Courtney as a manager.
Fantastic. Did y'all hear that?
Thank you.
Yep, new office manager, Courtney. Courtney's turning red. What are the wins?
I think just keeping Dr. Taylor productive, even just working
Modifying.
half a day.
Yeah.
Like she's super productive, just half a day.
Yeah, so remember guys, Dr. Taylor came back more towards the end of 2023. And so with all of 2024, she had a modified schedule, a different schedule than she'd have. And I think that's a huge win because the assistants were, flexible in being able to modify their flow, modify their schedules, their lunch, all that kind of stuff. I didn't hear people complaining or fussing or anything like that. They just got it done.
Just privately.
Privately, yeah, but I said I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. But we just got it done. So I think that's great. That's a huge win. Anything else?
We had, I think, what was it, 2 or 3 months in a row where it was our highest month ever?
Yes,
There
we
you
did.
go.
We had
Thank
multiple
you.
highest month. Yeah, great. More than 1 month like that throughout the year. Awesome. So I think we answered this a little bit too. Like, what processes did we improve? There was one process that Holly just said, right? It was just like how we had to schedule. We improved that process for sure. Anything else? Processes that you noticed? You guys know what I mean by processes? Like the flows. And then we also answered this one. Who stepped into a bigger role? We had multiple people. So Courtney did, I think technically yours was 2023, but you're spending a lot of that learning, right? Or did you do it in
Yeah.
2024?
When did we do that?
Yeah.
Was it
March,
2020?
March of 2024.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2020, I meant 2024, yeah, so
Yeah.
March of 2024. So 2025, you were already there, but you were spending most of 2024 getting acclimated. Then we had tons of people step into new roles, actually.
Yes.
Holly, Kirsten, Lace, I mean, like a bunch of people moved around into new roles, and I think that went super smoothly. Especially considering I've had that happen before, where we moved people like that. It was like a musical chairs all at once, and it was a freaking nightmare. It was a disaster. So if you had lived through that, then you would know that this went very smoothly. And then, what are we proud of as a team?
Helping so many patients.
Number one. That's got to be number one. 100% agree. Helping so many patients. That's number one. What else?
I feel like we've gotten closer this year.
I do too. I felt that too. I was thinking that. I was thinking of like the Christmas party that we just had. We had the party in the middle of the year. We did that thing at Jane's pool. It was like pretty neat to see, for me to step back and observe, especially like at the Christmas party. It was just like a lunch, super laid back, all the offices together, laughing. The culture felt really easy, right? Really easy and very relaxed and really centered around fun. So I thought that was pretty neat. I agree with that 100%. Anything else? Okay, good. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start looking at next year. Courtney, I think I'm gonna let you lead this part, okay? Because you're gonna be the driver on it. I'm gonna take my hat off because I'm the dentist hat now. I'm gonna put the dentist hat and you're gonna put the manager hat on. So what that means is you're gonna lead us through deciding the halves, okay? Can I see your phone real quick? So we're gonna look at section 3, 4, and 5, the halves. What do we wanna have? So specifically, we're looking at, okay, new patient numbers, production, collection, then also what we just talked about, right? What are some other things we want to have? We might have better communication, I don't know, less chaos, something, I don't know, whatever you guys can come up with, I want y'all to run this part of it, okay? Then when we get down to it, and I'll help you follow my notes because you didn't know this was coming, but doing this, what do we need to do to accomplish that? And then that will lead us to who do we need to be. Does that make sense? Okay, good.
Okay.
Now, this is not going to be recorded because each team will do that themselves. So, go ahead.
All right. So what do we want to have?